I'm Chirag Bhavsar, and I'm a co-founder at Finomics. I'm very happy to be here today. I am recording our very first podcast. It's going to be on AI spend, the tipping point. And today, our very first guest is none other than the founder of Finomics, Chirag Bhavsar. Welcome, Chirag. We are very happy to welcome you on this very first podcast. You have a lot of experience in the field of data cloud and AI. Tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us what drives you to be in this FinOps world.
So, in my years of experience in data cloud and AI, one thing that I've learned, the customers are always looking for visibility first, right? But visibility can only do and go to a certain extent. Customers are also looking that, hey, I've got the visibility. What can I do more with that? I want to start saving the money, but I also want to put policies so that I can never go out of budget. I can never have any issue with the cost aspect, right? So as a FinOps certified professional, one of the things that I see that FinOps Foundation has established this major principles about inform, operate, and optimize. And this is what Finomics is about, right? It rightly uses all the three phases across cloud, all the public clouds, your SaaS integrations, and also to your AI spend and private cloud spend, right? So it basically covers the full spectrum of all the different aspects that currently the teams are facing. And as you know, organizations, we have seen number of news and about AI spend and all of that. So every day is an exciting thing for me because every day I look at the customer's problem and that, yes, hey, we need to solve this, right? Thing happened with Uber. Things are happening with Microsoft. We know that, Amazon stopped giving the AI leaderboard, and every day there are news breaking up. And this is exactly what excites me on every single day in the FinOps journey.
So you talked about these larger organizations and some of the issues, and the latest burning issue is the tokens. So let's talk about that. There is a lot of buzz about tokenomics, and there was a FinOps X conference, and there was the stage was set for tokenomics there. Tell us about your take on it. What kind of conversations are you being part of currently with the customers? What do they talk about, and what are they looking for as a solution?
So, as you rightly mentioned, Tokenomics was announced in FinOps X 2026 in San Diego. When we all were there, this was a surprise for us that, hey, this is now, it was actually a surprise for FinOps crowd themselves, right? FinOps
Yes.
members as well. The core team members, right? So we all were kind of surprised, but my friend JR always does a great job, looking at the problem and announcing the things the right way, right? So I'm very happy the way it was announced and how the problems kind of shifted from FinOps to Tokenomics. In my opinion, a lot of fundamentals behind FinOps that was established kind of applies towards Tokenomics. It's just that, the AI world is changing so fast. Every single day, there is a new model coming out, like Kimi 3 came out, just last week. And that's changing the whole dynamics, right? The leaders that are up now are not going to be up next week or next month. We just don't know, right? Fable 5 was a big, model that was so popular, very accurate. Kimi 3 is now kind of competing at some of the benchmarks that it's breaking. It's a similar thing. I'm not trying to kind of give an example just with one specific thing, but this is what we are going to continue seeing. If you look at GitHub Copilot, right, that used to be on a seat basis, now it's based on the credits. And each credits are also kind of considered differently depending upon what type of subscriptions that you are in. So all in all, what I see is the customers are going to continue catching up to what's happening from these different providers. Some of the customers are also thinking about securing that private, I would say secret sauce, right? And putting that into private cloud, training the model, providing all the capabilities that they need, but in-house, right? And this takes time, right? Like all, as we know, just purchasing a GPU and like hosting the models, training the models for your purpose, it doesn't take, it takes time, right? It's not everyone's cup of tea. Same thing, with the public cloud, as we see offerings that are coming up, whether you talk about MCP, agentic AI, multi-agent orchestration, rack pipelines, every single thing is changing, right? And there are more innovations coming out every day. And this makes us, again, exciting as part of this field. And what we see commonly with our customers, where I was talking to one of the customers last week, and he said, like, I blew away my budget in first 4 days that I have allocated for a month. Now you can imagine, this is a fundamental problem that customers are trying. Hey, should I give them Claude? Should I give them Copilot? Are they utilizing the licenses correctly? How do I set the policies? How do I set the budgets? How do I set the quota? Right? So these are a lot of problems that customers are facing, and these are fascinating problems to solve.
Right. So you said it correctly, because generating that business value, connecting that token usage, token cost, justifying that token cost with the business value is the biggest problem. And we are all looking for a solution. And I think we have something in-house as well. So I would like you to talk about that how did you come up with an idea that this seems to be a good solution, and you have already built it. So can you talk a little bit about how at Finomics we are solving that problem?
See, one thing I'll tell you about Finomics, the reason why we are different is because we look at the customer's problem as number one thing, right? All the solutions that we build has a problem statement associated to that. Our clients have the problem that, hey, we are using so many models, we have so many providers, which one to choose from? Okay, we chose one. How do we get the clarity? Hey, can I get cost at a cost center level? Can I get a cost at a project level, an application level? Which model is better? Because each provider is also coming up with newer versions. Like we know about Fable 5 came out, right? Opus from 4.6 to 4.8. Sonnet has different versions of families. Each AI model that comes out with its own family comes up with maybe a lesser token value, but the number of tokens that it's consuming is higher. You see where this is going? So on the surface, it looks like, hey, the token cost is going lower, but the number of tokens that are consumed is much higher. To give an example, Fable 5 consumes very high number of tokens for the same query that you run on 4.8. So at a again a grand level, what customers are facing is where we are looking at the problems, right? Like our customers are saying that we want to provide a complete visibility. We want a unified view across all our providers, whether it's Bedrock, whether it's Vertex AI, whether it's Azure Foundry, because the customers are trying out different things. Right now, the things are in try mode, and then if they are successful, then they will commit to that. And this is where Azure Foundry is being used, GCP Vertex AI is being used, Bedrock is being used. They all provide a different sets of traceability, telemetry. And this is where we come into picture, where we help out the customers how they should be using these models, interacting with LLMs, passing those model requests so that we can rightly tag them and we can associate those, we classify them in a way where you can start getting the reports out that you're looking for. You want to set the budget, you need to work with us in order to get the right telemetry in. Because, and some of these problems we are figuring out with the customers right now. But these problems, like I said, are happening and shaping the future that we are going to live in, right? And it's changing every month. And that's again, is the fundamental problem why our customers are working with us because we are agile, we are fast, we are adopting to the new models that are coming in. Anytime when the customer comes up with like a requirement, we are taking a look at it, we are putting that in our pipeline, and then we are bringing that to the customer in a very short amount of time.
Awesome. That's amazing how quickly we are able to showcase that return on investment. Do you think that because the AI spend is rising, is it impacting innovations, or you think that customers do want to innovate, but they do want to find out what's my cost? Like, is the innovation actually associated with return on investment? Like, do you get into these kind of conversations?
Absolutely. In fact, customers are scared, as you can imagine. If I was, even we are trying a lot of models ourselves, and we are afraid of the cost as well. So yes, every customer is kind of wants to innovate, but at the same time, they are looking at like, what is this going to cost? How am I going to justify to my board? All the C-level people that are currently in this board, like, because they are initially they got the pressure from their board, hey, you need to join this AI bandwagon. Why are you not, going there? But at the same time, now what we see is the board and the CIO, CTO, CFOs, they all are realizing that, hey, jumping into this bandwagon does not help if you're not justifying the problem correctly, right? And like, for example, JP Morgan Chase working very closely with Claude. We talked about some other news about setting up the AI leadership board, thinking that number of tokens being used are the best engineers, and then they realized it's not helping them, right? In some cases, token cost is so high for some of our customers that it does not even make sense to replace maybe a junior developer. So innovation, yes. There are two aspects of innovations I would recommend, right? From the company's perspective, there is a product aspect and there is a productivity aspect. So for AI, to increase the product intelligence, right? You want to use, the AI models behind it. Let's say, for example, you are looking as a workflow automation, use an AI for that. There is an app, there is a document upload that's coming from the customer. You want to analyze that document, use an AI for that. There is a multi-agent orchestration that you are building. You are trying to connect to a tool using MCP. All of these are cool use cases of this AI where you are coming up with the different use cases. You want to choose the right model that works for that particular use case. That's the product side of things. The productivity side of things, you have thousands of users that wants to increase their day-to-day productivity by using Claude, by using ChatGPT, by you providing Copilot, whether they are developers, whether they are engineers, or whether they are regular workers that are trying to increase their productivity by embedding their Word, Excel, PowerPoint, SharePoint, all of the whole Microsoft 365 tool. In this case, what we find is that some of the customers are looking for like licenses. They want to control the licenses. In some cases, the customer has given their users a free hand, saying that, yeah, just start using it. The free hand customers are the ones that are running into problems right now, where they are realizing that if they have given certain seats, license or quotas, you would capture that number of tokens that is allowed with that particular seat. But then if you get overage, there is a huge cost to that. And that's where Finomics comes into picture by setting up again the right quota limits, right budgets, so that what type of things, what type of costs that are coming in. I had a customer about Copilot Studio, for example. They are trying out different automations, and then automation, the number of credits that they used blew away their budget, right? So these are the examples. I have one other customer who are using a very well-known FinOps tool, a very big healthcare company, but then they couldn't figure out how to do tokenomics piece for that, right? They were looking for cost center, teams, project level insights that they did not have. Let alone, you cannot set budget, you cannot set quota limits, you cannot set what you cannot see, you cannot set. But most importantly, like I said, it's again based on the FinOps principle. That's where Finomics comes into picture. It integrates with all these different providers, whether it's products aspect or whether it's productivity aspect, brings all of them together, applies inform, operate, optimize principles, and to get the best out of those platforms.
Right. So you have talked about SaaS subscriptions, and currently we see that a lot of companies are investing into SaaS subscription. I was reading about one study that said that on average an enterprise has 371 SaaS subscriptions, and now AI subscriptions are added to that. Tell us a little bit about that. Like you were talking about Microsoft 365, and then now Copilot comes as part of that billing cycle. Talk to us, how do you see that as a problem, especially like seat-based, licensing-based, and also now it is changing, like it's moving to consumption-based, right? So tell us about bidding on those, and how do you solve that problem?
So every single SaaS that we know, and it's not related to only the AI companies, even SaaS companies themselves, whether it's a procurement software, whether it's a ServiceNow integrations, whether it's your SAP, SAP or Salesforce, every single integrations that we know at this point is getting embedded with AI, right? And they are coming up with this new offerings as part of that. Hey, this is AI powered, integration. So there are certain subscriptions. Let's break this down into two categories. One, which are AI provider companies, like for example, GitHub Copilot that you mentioned, Claude is one, OpenAI is there. Each of them has like this B2B offering, right? That says that, okay, what type of package you are in. And then for that particular package, let's try to see how many seats that you want within that, because that every single provider will have certain sort of like, staggering, stacks. If they have 100 licenses, 1,000 licenses, 5,000 licenses, because more license you have better power of negotiating, and you're getting a better deal out of it. Everybody knows that. For those guys where you have the AI subscriptions and looking at that, let me give you an example about Claude. Claude has this offering of Claude Code. Everybody knows about it. It's very cool. It's very exciting for a lot of developers. Majority of developers who has Claude Code, they are becoming just a prompt engineers. They are becoming this validator or integrator type of thing, right? Where they are just giving the prompts, getting the code embedded in that, and then finally they are plugging that in and seeing what they need to get out of that, right? So that's Claude Code. Now, whether one user is actually using Claude, how much, whether they are going overage. I have one user that blew away a $1,400 budget in one day, right? They're going crazy. Like, it was, they were just giving prompts left and right, and like they had a free hand of using credits, right? So a $30 license, or a $100 license that they had gone out a lot because there was just no control. This is the scary part. Remember, we were talking about innovation. Yes, this is where the organizations are worried, where this problem exists. Now, talking about Finomics, when we get this data, we get on a daily basis a real-time control that we can place, the policies that we can set, the governance things that we can put around this, so that you have any time when there is any anomaly that existed in a day. In some cases, we are able to do it even almost near real time, where we can get the data and see that, hey, there was a sudden jump. Let's start taking a look at that.
Yeah.
So in some cases, it has become from, months to days. Initially, it used to be like, hey, my last month budget was bad. Now it's coming to days, and in some cases, it's going to hours.
Yeah.
So we have that capability where we can start taking a look at this data much more closer and sooner, and then provide them the anomalies that happen within that. So anomalies is number one in my opinion from governance standpoint. The second one is budget control and that, right? So from FinOps standpoint or a C-level people, right, they want to see that how their different departments are using AI, but at the same time they are not going over the budget.
Right.
So you mentioned one important aspect called revenue. The ROI, the revenue that's coming from a specific department or a field or use case has to be tied to the revenue that it should be bringing in, right? So that revenue that got generated versus the cost aspect, these two need to make sense for the customer. It may be an investment for that sake, right? We know that there are customers who are investing in it. It's okay. But at the same time, the ROI needs to be higher, right? And this is where Finomics comes into picture. Like I mentioned about budget, governance, control, quota limit. So, think about like Cloud Code. You want to set the quota limit for that. If you are using Copilot, you want to set the quota limit. Even if you have product, for example, right, the subscriptions thing that you talked about, you have subscription on Claude. You want to make sure that you are able to provide the product use cases as well, part of this. So in the Claude use case where you have product integrations, right? So those product integrations, let's say, for example, you are using Claude, Fable 5, Opus, right? You have different models. When we go about choosing the right model, you have to choose which model it is, right? And that's where model recommendations comes into picture, right? Like, hey, I have this use case. Does this model make sense, or maybe I need to go higher? Just for explaining just the coding task, or you have a use case about doing a document check. You have a legal document versus you have just a summarization of a particular contract. There is a different value, right? You have legal document takes much higher priority, so you may want to use an more accurate, more powerful model versus the other one. And this is where we are working on the next phase in terms of optimization, which is primarily focused towards prompt optimization. When we say prompt optimization, pretty much anything that's been given as an input for all the developers or your users that are working on different automation tasks, we take a look at it and we say that does it even make sense to use that? For example, even Claude, whether it's Sonnet, Opus, or Fable, right? Same thing for if you use OpenAI, Azure Foundry, GCP Vertex AI, you have Model Garden, and from the Model Garden you can choose which particular model garden essentially works for you, right? So which particular model works for you, and then you choose that model for fitting into that. Sometimes we also help our customers to kind of help benchmark based on the accuracy, cost, and that aspect, and then we choose the right model from that perspective as well. So coming back to SaaS subscription, when I see SaaS subscription, it's not just about the number of seats and licenses you purchased. It's also about how that subscription is essentially helping getting that in front of the ROI, and then identifying the real value it brings and mapping that out to the cost that you have spent. Every seat is a cost, and this is where essentially it helps. Let's say, for example, in Microsoft 365 case, it's a full ecosystem. You have E3s, you have E5s, all of these licenses, right? And at the same time, you have Copilot, which is a complete separate per user license, right? Let's say an organization is purchasing thousands of licenses for Copilot, right? Are these all Copilot licenses getting used? You need that data in order to see whether you want to go up or down. And this data is very useful for them when they're doing a true up.
Yes.
Right? So I have a lot of customers that basically just has services engagement just about Microsoft 365. It's a big offering, right? But at the same time, whether it makes sense to go with all the licenses that you had past year, do we want to reduce it? Do we want to increase it? All of these decisions requires data. And that's where Finomics provides the data. Not only just from the seats perspective, user activity perspective, so you can make smart decisions. Sometimes I've seen that there are 30-day, 90-day, 60-day report that we provide where customers are looking at whether how many users are active, inactive, and then make the subscription decision based on that. In some cases, one of the customers that I talked, they were like, hey, I'm trying out Claude, I'm trying out Copilot, I will see which one works better, and maybe I'll purchase it for like few months, Claude, and then maybe switch to Copilot, or maybe other tools, right, that are coming out in the market. So all of these things, what we see is like they all are kind of having their own sort of things, right? So that's basically where we are going with it.
So you explained it so well, and I think users are usually feeling this FOMO, right? There's fear of missing out, like, hey, there is a latest model out there, I want to use it, right, without knowing how much it's going to cost me, how's the token usage. I think at an organization level, it would be really nice feature to know that, okay, this is my use case, and this is how much the token usage going to be. This is the purpose, and then you recommend that model. I think that's a great solution right there. And I think subscriptions, they cost a lot, and I think there is Finomics providing this solution where the enterprises now have visibility into not only one SaaS subscription, but multiple SaaS subscription, AI subscription, the AI seats. I think it's phenomenal. And so we talked about tokenomics, we talked about AI spend. I would like you to explain us, if you were to explain Finomics as a platform. Yes, AI spend is part of it, but Finomics is a big platform. It provides, it has multiple cool features. There are so many problems that it is solving for an enterprise. Tell us about these features, and tell us how it becomes like one big platform.
Yeah, very good question. So when we started Finomics, right, it started with like only cloud in mind, and then we added SaaS because SaaS was a big problem for our customers. Then we started looking at the customer's point of view about contract management, right? We have now asset management, we have private cloud, we have tying up, the SaaS contract to the entitlement. So the Finomics platform has come a long way, I would say, right? And thanks to our great team, right? Every time when I come around and look at the problem and I start defining them, I give it to them, they always surprise me with like the amount of the quality that they bring to the product, the agility they drive, and the speed at which they deliver this integration. So we are also coming up in Finomics like different flavors of our product. We have Finomics Lite, we have Finomics Lite Plus, or we also call POV, where we get a customer a view of Finomics, how it looks before they basically can purchase. There is Finomics Pro, and then there is Finomics Elite. At a larger platform perspective, as you called out an ecosystem, we can integrate with any contract management system that you have currently. So procurement doesn't need to move, but they do get that contract validation aspect. So the FinOps team does not need to get to 5 different dashboards, again, the single pane of glass.
All right. So Chirag, you talked about a lot of interesting topics, and you're very, very happy that you are our first guest. You talked about AI spend, you talked about cloud spend, you talked about tokenomics. These are all the very hot topic, right? Because there is the enterprise cost, and that's rising every day. It's in trillions now. So thank you so much for being part of this first podcast. We would love to see you coming soon.
Absolutely.
So yeah, thank you so much for attending this, and I had a great time talking with you. Thank you.
I had a great time as well. Thank you, Ronak, for hosting. I'm looking forward to talking to you and the Finomics team. We have a great journey so far. There is a lot of exciting stuff happening in this market, as we know, and Finomics team is also solving these problems and bringing to our customers. The new innovations. In the upcoming podcast, we'll talk more about those things. But I'm very happy. I enjoyed every bit of it as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.